The kingdom of Cinderella and the prince, the realm of light, was finally breathing a sigh of relief after months of turmoil. The crystal of the heart stood like a shimmering shield in the heart of the throne room, its light spreading to every corner of the palace. Queen Cinderella was no longer just a fairy tale heroine. She was a leader of iron will, reborn from the ashes. Yet, the painful screams that echoed from the remnants of the temple where her glass slipper had shattered reminded her nightly of the fragility of victory. The price of peace was the imprisonment of Cinderella's former family in the dungeons. Her stepmother and Drizella's spells were broken, but their hatred still seeped through the walls. Especially Drizella's icy cold gaze gnawed at Cinderella's conscience. In the 7th month of peace, a cold wave emanating from the kingdom's farthest western borders, the Forgotten Lands, changed everything. Spring had not visited the palace gardens. One night, as Cinderella looked out from her bedroom window, she saw her favorite rose bushes starting to char from the top down. As the roses blackened, the sun amulet inherited from the prince's mother, which he wore on his chest, trembled more violently than ever, heating up almost enough to burn. She hastily summoned the royal sorcerer, Elias. Elias was sweating under the candlelight amidst centuries-old manuscripts. On the ancient kingdom map on his table, a seal marking the Forgotten Lands was split in two by a bright red crack. "Your Majesty," Elias said, his voice barely a whisper, "the ancient prophecy is coming true. This is the seal of Malachor. It is the seal that imprisoned Malachor, the Shadow Lord, between the realm of this world and the dark magic centuries ago. With the crystal's glow, the seal has weakened. The Shadow Lord is awakening. Malachor was a cursed princess who, 1,000 years ago, destroyed her own family in a bid for the throne. Her goal was to harness the power of an ancient source called the Star Seed, which contained the essence of the first light in the universe. Cinderella, with the resolve she had gained in the days she lost her innocence, asked, "How do we stop her? Is the power of the crystal of the heart not enough?" Elias took a deep breath. The crystal of the heart protects light, but Malachor's power is the absence of everything, darkness itself. To defeat her, we must reach the location of the star seed and awaken it in the heart of Malachor's fortress. This is a secret the old king, your father, kept from me for years. Drizella's cold gaze flashed in Cinderella's mind. Is there a connection to those in the dungeon? Elias nodded. I suspect the inherent darkness in Drizella's heart may have served as a call to Malachor. The Shadow Lord feeds most heavily on hate. A volcano erupted once more within Cinderella. This war was not just a matter of a kingdom, but a battle to save her family's soul. That night, she, the prince, and Elias departed through a secret tunnel prepared by the sorcerer, heading toward the Forgotten Lands. Poisonous marshes, and the cursed priestess. Their journey, after passing the Gate of Last Light, the last fortress of the Realm of Light, turned into an absolute nightmare. The Forgotten Lands were like a wound on the world, marshes where poisonous vapors rose, skies perpetually covered by leaden clouds, and forests of dead trees that looked like living skeletons. While the prince skillfully carved a path with his sword, Cinderella carried a heavy leather satchel on her shoulders containing the crystal of the heart, Elias's enchanted maps, and most importantly, her will to survive. As they crossed the poisonous marshes, Cinderella's feet slipped in the water and she nearly drowned. The prince pulled her out at the last moment. Just then, a strange figure appeared on a dry mound in the middle of the marsh. Lysandra. Her eyes were filled with a pale light that shone even in the darkness, but her face was etched with shadows. She was a former priestess of the ancient light who had served Malakor's mother and knew the secrets of the shadow magic. She sensed Malakor's return and had appeared to warn them. "Stop, travelers," Lysandra wailed, her voice carried on the wind. "The path to Malakor's citadel is more dangerous than you think. The Shadow Lord is about to reach the zenith of her power by absorbing the first light emanating from the starseed." Lysandra pointed to the ruins of Silver Spring Village, where Malakor's family had once lived and which Malakor herself had destroyed. The exact location of the starseed is not the deepest secret of Malakor's fortress, but is hidden in her mother's tomb. Malakor will never approach that tomb, believing her mother was cursed due to her betrayal. Lysandra noticed the crystal of the heart in Cinderella's satchel. "The crystal is only a guide, Cinderella. Your true power lies not in vengeance, but in the final belief in goodness of a heart reborn." The priestess directed them to a secret, shadow-protected ancient mine tunnel leading to Malakor's fortress, and then vanished into the shadows. The mine tunnel was narrow, claustrophobic, and full of traps. The prince read an ancient rune at the entrance. This tunnel can only be opened by the blood of one who has lost everything and then regained it. Without hesitation, Cinderella cut her hand and pressed it onto the rune. The iron door of the tunnel groaned open. I, Drizella's shadow betrayal. At the end of the tunnel, they reached the very heart of the shadow realm. Malakor's fortress, built of black obsidian stones, was a terrifying structure whose spires constantly pierced the dark clouds. The wails of spirits imprisoned for millennia echoed within the castle walls. In the castle courtyard, a contingent of shadow guards awaited them. But the person commanding them was not Malakor, as they expected, but Drizzella. Her armor had replaced her tattered clothes, and a cloak woven from shadow threads draped over her shoulders. Her eyes burned with the gleam of pure darkness. "Hello, my queen," Drizzella sneered, her voice stronger and more ruthless than ever. "I always told you that slipper would only bring you pain. Malakor promised me the power and respect I never had. Now your kingdom, your heart, everything will fall under my shadows." Cinderella's heart tore in two. For a moment, she forgot that the person before her was the hateful stepsister who had tormented her for years. She saw a desperate child in her eyes. "Drizzella, Malakor is using you. She's just feeding your hatred." Drizzella burst into laughter. "At least she sees me. You, on the other hand, always hid behind that foolish mask of kindness." The battle began. While the prince and sorcerer Elias engaged in a fierce struggle with the shadow guards, Cinderella and Drizzella faced each other. The shadow blasts emanating from Drizzella challenged Cinderella's agility. Cinderella mostly evaded, reluctant to harm her sister. In a final move, Drizzella formed a whip out of shadows and aimed for the crystal in Cinderella's hand. Just as the whip was about to strike the crystal, Cinderella, with a sudden decision, wrapped the whip around her own arm. She winced in pain, but this gave her an opening to get close to Drizzella. "My light can defeat your shadow, Drizzella," whispered, looking directly into her sister's eyes. At that moment, Cinderella combined the power of the crystal of the heart with pure compassion. The crystal shone with a beam of love radiating from her chest. The beam pierced Drizella's armor and touched her heart. Drizzella recoiled in agony. The effect of Malacor's spell was momentarily broken. A look of shock and remorse appeared on Drizella's face. She was confronted with the void of the love she never received from her mother. In that instant, the darkness within Drizzella was shaken. Drizzella slumped and fell to the ground. She lied about the tomb, Mother's tomb," she whispered, then lost consciousness.